An eviction notice sent to a 102-year-old woman in Ladera Heights has sparked outrage all over the Southland. LA Times reporter Laura Nelson wrote about the eviction threat and why it may have violated renter protections. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I need you to first introduce us to Ms. Thelma Smith.
Thelma is 102. She has lived in this apartment in Ladera Heights for about 30 years. And in her previous life, she was an assistant at the Sugar Ray Robinson Foundation. The foundation works with kids who are underprivileged in South LA and works with issues of drug use and juvenile delinquency.
In March, she receives an eviction notice from this apartment complex where she's lived, as you said, for 30 years. What does the eviction notice say?
The notice told her she needed to move out by June 30th, so they gave her a couple of months because the landlord was planning to move in his daughter to the apartment because she has just graduated from law school.
Okay, now you have to break this down for us. There are rules, there are laws. In this particular corner of Ladera Heights, which is an unincorporated area of Los Angeles County, what are the rules?
The rules just took effect in the fall. LA County's Board of Supervisors approved a slate of temporary renter protections designed to help prevent evictions that would lead people to become homeless, essentially. If you're on a fixed income, if you're disabled, if you're elderly, if you have a family. And there's a series of boxes, basically, that landlords have to check in order to be able to evict someone under those rules. And one of those rules is that if you're planning on moving in a member of your immediate family, like a child or a parent, then you are allowed to evict someone as long as they're given proper notice.
So the landlord did not break any laws?
That is being investigated by a county department that handles business and consumer affairs. They're looking into whether or not the landlord did all the steps that he needed to do. But from first blush, it looks like he followed the law.
So lots of people have come out in support of Ms. Smith, including Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you think you know how she might know him?
That's right. Well, the best guess is that because of her work at this foundation that involved a lot of participation from celebrities and politicians, that they might have met through her work there.
So lots of people have come out and said it is absolutely, criminal. In fact, some of the tweets are really mean. It is diabolical. It is amoral that a landlord should be allowed to do this. But again, it's perfectly within the law if, in fact, the landlord does have a daughter who does need a place to live.
And if he followed all the rules required to evict someone, send certified letter, give a certain amount of notice. It appears at first blush that he did, but again, the county is investigating whether all the, I's were dotted and T's were crossed.
And so what are her options right now?
Her family is not in state. All of her children are either dead or, not nearby. And her friends and a number of different nonprofit groups and county departments are searching for the best option for her. Obviously, market rate rents are way outside the reach of someone who lives on a fixed income. I mean, rents in LA County have soared over the last few years alone, let alone 3 decades in the same apartment. So she has Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, who represents the area where she lives, is working on it. There's a number of county departments, including the Department of Aging, that are talking to her about what her best option would be, and they're just trying to find something.
And people have offered her places to stay,
They
right?
have. I've gotten a lot of email from people who are like, I have an extra bedroom, she can come live with me, and it's tough, though, to think about leaving the community that you've lived in for a long time.
She wants to stay home.
She wants to stay where she is, and the question is just whether they can find something for her that will, that will meet her needs.
So right now, all we can wait for is an investigation to prove whether or not the landlord acted within his rights.
He has said in interviews that he is just taking care of his family. And wouldn't you do the same thing if you were in my position?
Yeah,
so
really.
It's a really tough, it's kind of a thorny, emotional,
really
moral
polarizing.
issue. Yeah.
And again, we don't have enough housing affordable, especially for seniors.
Especially for people on fixed incomes.
Yeah. Laura, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.